Last year, I bought a Yamaha blaster for $1,000. It was in pretty pitiful condition and needed a lot of work. Ultimately, I ended up doing a full restoration, but the end result was pretty awesome. I even did a Top Quad Challenge series with this thing, and it was an absolute blast for everyone to ride. Now, even though the Yamaha blaster is a ton of fun, I built it using mostly stock parts, and they really only make 15 to 20 horsepower. And is that really enough power? Well, the good news is I've done some research, and with some simple mods, we should be able to really wake this thing up. Now, from what I hear, doing a high compression head and doing port work on the Yamaha blaster makes a world of difference. But how much difference does it really make? Well, lucky for us, my friend at KOR Racing sent us a high compression head. I'll be doing some port work to this thing, and we'll add some other performance mods to see just what we can get out of this Yamaha blaster. Will these small, relatively inexpensive mods make a big difference? Or is it just a bunch of hype and we're wasting our money here? I just don't know, but the only way to find out is to do the mods, take it to the sand, and see if there's a difference. Let's get in the shop and start working on this blaster. Well, guys, I wasn't actually going to film this, and as I started looking at all the parts and what I'm going to be doing to this thing, I started to get excited about it, and I was like, well, maybe you guys will be excited about it too. So this is the original crispy chicken sandwich. It is a 2004 Yamaha blaster. If you guys saw the series, it is completely restored, and we used this for a Top Quad Mini Quad series where we put it up against other mini quads, and it is completely stock down to the top end. In fact, it's almost stock minus, I guess you could call it, because that's a Chinese top end, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's not quite as good as an OEM, you know what I mean? But man, we put this thing through its paces, and believe it or not, it still runs really good. Oh, what the hell, we'll fire this thing up. I'll show you this thing still runs. It's kind of surprising that it still runs, honestly, with that Chinese top end. If you guys watch the Top Quad series, we pushed this thing, we pushed it pretty hard, man.
Grab second up.
Yes, confident. This feels good on that machine. Let me see that. Let me see that.
Trace! It's anybody's name! Oh my God!
So, let's check it out. Oh man, first kick. It was cold too, dude. Kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. I was riding around the yard and it still feels... honestly, it feels just as good as when we first built the damn thing. So, pretty impressive for a Chinese top end. Now, you guys won't be able to see, but there's an hour meter right up in there. And at this time, the engine has 7.3 hours on it. Not a lot of time by any means, even for a two-stroke. But if you've ever heard the phrase for drag racing cars or just cars that were street raced in general, they say, you know, it was done a quarter mile at a time. And basically, it's like the difference between city miles, highway miles, and racing miles. So although, yes, that's not very much time, I'm still really interested to see what that piston looks like because, man, those things are like tin cans, I'm telling you. And I was really, the whole time we made the Top Quad series, I was waiting for this thing to melt down. If you guys saw it, man, I'm telling you, man, we really did push this thing super hard. I am personally impressed that it still runs so good. Now, I will be selling the blaster, and I just don't want to sell it with that Chinese piston in there. So I want to upgrade to this Wiseco piston, and I've also got a couple modifications that I want to do to this thing to give it a little bit of pep, a little bit of blast for the blaster. We've got a shaved cylinder head. This came from KOR Racing. You can see it's quite a bit different. In fact, I actually have another stock cylinder head right here, and you guys can see side by side the difference. If you look at this one, you can see it actually sticks up, whereas this one, it's sunken down. So he takes quite a bit of material off of there. That's going to increase the compression, and you can still run pump gas, which is really nice. You just got to make sure it's at least 93 octane, but we should get a good bit of torque from that. And then if you come over here, we've got some brand new OEM gaskets we'll put on there. And then I've got the Sport Port kit. This also came from KOR Racing. It's a template for the intake and exhaust side. So that should give us a good bit of power, man. Porting on two strokes is major. And I heard that these Sport Ports make a really big difference. Really cool. It's a magnet template, so you can stick it inside the cylinder, mark where you need to port to, and then get your porting done. I'm really excited about that. And then, you know, just the traditional old billet Wiseco piston that won't melt down. even though the Chinese one still hasn't. So I'm really excited about these mods. I had a really good time riding this quad. This was one of my favorite builds of all time because it was just so simple, and even though the thing isn't super fast, it's fast enough to have fun with, and man, we all just had so much fun with this thing. So I need to tear this thing down and take the top end off. We should be able to do this in the frame. It's not gonna be like a tutorial or anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and tear it down to the cylinder. We'll get to that portion anyways. And we'll take a look at the piston together though, because I really am curious to see what that thing looks like. All right, 20 minutes and we are already at the top end. That's what I love about the Yamaha Blaster. Let's take a look at this plug. Rich. Oh, well, actually, it's not too bad. Plug looks pretty good. It's a little bit, maybe just a touch rich, but not really. I had jetted this thing rich on purpose because of the Chinese kit. I did not want this thing melting down. Oh, come on. Huh? Almost disappointing. That's what we got going on. There is a small amount of carbon in the center of the piston, but otherwise it really looks great. Let's bring it up to the top. It looks practically new. Crazy, man. All right, all of our base nuts were tight. I know that's an issue that sometimes happens with blasters. Apparently, those base nuts come loose. I'm curious to see this piston, though, man. Really, at first glance, does not look bad. So I'm going to clean this up, and then we'll have a closer look. Man, I'm like a mixture of impressed and disappointed. I really thought that this thing was going to be, I know it's not many hours, but just these Chinese kits are so cheap. I really thought there was going to be more damage. You can see some streaking in here, but that's like normal cylinder wear. And then you can still see some cross-hatching. I mean, it looks, it looks great, if I'm being honest, dude. You can't even feel those vertical lines. Another good sign is that the pin comes in and out really easily. That is a sign that the piston didn't see too much heat. Usually if a piston, when you're pulling a piston out, if you ever noticed, the pin can be really hard to get out. And also, if there is a bunch of cooked on carbon on the bottom of the piston, that's another sign that it got too hot. So I think our extra rich jetting, possibly that is why this is in such good shape. I bet you we could have got a solid, 50 to 100 hours out of it, like a normal top end. It's kind of a shame. Out of curiosity, let's see the difference in weight versus the Wiseco. They feel pretty much the same, 7.02 ounces. And then here's the Wiseco, 6.53. Let's put the rings on here. Wow, the Wiseco is actually lighter. That is very surprising. I would have thought for sure that the billet piston, what's that, 6.81? Okay, so they're very similar, but I'm very surprised. Very surprised. Now the mod we're going to be doing to the cylinder is called Sport Porting. So I got this from Ken O'Connor Racing. You guys can purchase this exact same kit. It comes with all of the instructions to tell you how to port. I'm not going to say it's basic because I think porting is kind of like an intermediate to advanced modification just to do in general. But for porting jobs, I would say that this is a great starting point. It comes with these two templates, and they're magnets. So you literally stick these things inside the cylinder, and it will magnetize. I'm going to actually heat these up. It tells you to do that in the manual because it helps with the curvature and making it sit nice and flush against the actual cylinder. But I mean, you guys get the idea. You stick that in there, it makes it puts the template right on the cylinder for you. And then once that's in there, you take some Dyno, which is like a blue dye that you put on the cylinder, and then you can mark on the die where it needs to be cut, remove the template, and then you're good to go for porting. Show you guys on the intake. It's the same thing. I'm curious how much is really going to come out of here, if it's like a huge amount. I know doing the exhaust port on a lot of two-strokes makes a huge difference. So I'm curious on the intake side. Oh, you can see it's quite a bit that's going to be coming out. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it or not. You basically line this template up with the bottom of the cylinder here. And oh my gosh. Look in the center, that center bridge. I mean, it's not in the center, but we're going to be taking quite a bit out of there. And then, not to mention, these ports just in general are kind of messy. So I think smoothing those out would be that would probably make a big difference alone. I don't know if you guys can see in there, but the casting is just messy. So we'll clean up all that stuff, open up the ports to these sizes, and that should make a good difference. It's really nice with these magnetic templates here. And I'm just going to go in with this scalpel, or not scalpel, it's like a dental tool though. I'm going to go in there and scratch around the template, and if you can see the blue in there, that's that Dyno kind of like paint stuff, the dye. And you'll see when I do that, it'll leave a mark, and that's exactly where we'll need the port to. It sucks with stuff like this because I love showing you guys what I'm doing, but it's just way too tight in here to be able to film it. That's what she said. All right, now when I peel this away, we should have a nice silver line. Yep, you can see it in there. Now you can really see. Let me see if I can get you guys in there. You guys see the scribe line up at the top. We'll be opening it up quite a bit on the one side, and this side even more. And most importantly though, you can see how rough it is in there, especially on the bottom. I'm gonna round and ramp all of that casting and the cylinder sleeve and all that stuff, especially on the exhaust side. That makes a really big difference. Let's see what this intake side looks like. Oh man. Taking a lot out of the intake. And there's one other thing I'm gonna do. You can see where the exhaust gasket was sitting. I'm going to open up that entire area. This quite a bit of material I'm gonna take out of there, open up that exhaust port. Oh man, check it out. We've got mad power gains coming our way. I did quite a bit of work in here. I got all of the intake side all finished up. Got it nice and smoothed out in there. Really opened those ports up big time. You can really see down in there how much that cleaned up, dude. Though it was so rough in there, it was crazy. Exhaust side, same thing. You can see how much bigger that is. This should make a pretty big difference. Plus just smoothing out all of that rough casting. You wouldn't believe how much of a difference that makes. Then I came in and just cleaned out the transfer ports on the side. I didn't go too crazy with them. Just getting rid of like any of the slag and the messy stuff, which there was actually quite a bit. Also, I noticed that all of the edges of the ports were still really sharp from the factory. So I chamfered all of the edges of all the ports, including the ones that I just ported. And then I didn't do too much with the transfers. I just cleaned these edges up, and I didn't do a knife edge. I just rounded them and cleaned some of the messy stuff. There were some sharp edges in there. Cleaned that all up. And one last thing that I did, I went in with a stone hone and just put a fresh hone in there, give it some nice fresh cross hatching. I already did the ring gap check. Piston fits in there perfectly. Our piston to bore clearance is really good, so we can drop this cylinder on. We're ready to rock and roll. It was a little tough finding a spot to put my signature, but I did it. I did put the MS logo right there, man. Got to get some credit, right? And then coming over to the piston, I've already got the new Wiseco piston on here. It's all ringed up. And I even did a little bit of magic on our piston ports. I just rounded and smoothed the edges on the inside and the outside because you do get fuel air mixture going back and forth through these piston ports. So I did a little bit of work on them. I'm gonna go ahead and install all this stuff on my own. I did want to give you guys another look at this cylinder head before I go and put it on because it's not just shaved down, but the combustion chamber is a totally different design. If you look, this is the takeoff one. It's a little bit hard to see because it's got like that black spray paint in there, which is kind of amazing that that's still on there after running, but nevertheless, you can see how wide this flat portion in here, that's called the squish band, and then how much narrower it is on the one that we're going to be putting on. And then the combustion chamber, which is the bowl in here, is much smaller on the factory one. This is actually an aftermarket, but it's the same spec as a factory. You can see this one is much larger. I have actually done quite a bit of reading on two-stroke performance and how to design heads and stuff. I'm not like a pro by any means, but this squish band and the combustion chamber, manipulating that stuff changes the performance of the engine a lot. And if I remember correctly, a big wide squish band like this makes for a little bit safer for detonation at low RPMs where you need torque. And a lot of times they will narrow up the squish band if you have a gearbox, especially if it's close ratio, because you're not going to be in that down low portion as much as if you didn't have like a close ratio gearbox, because you're going to be shifting gears and keeping it in the power band. And this design should allow for more top end horsepower. So this should not only give us more torque because we're increasing the compression by shaving it down, but I think this combustion chamber design will also give us more top end power. So all around, this should be a better performing head. All right, guys, check it out. I've gone as far as I can go short of putting the intake on. I figured with all these porting modifications, we'd be doing ourselves an injustice by putting these lousy factory reeds on. There's actually nothing wrong with these reeds, but a good set of V-Force reeds will definitely increase the flow and it'll let us get more out of the port work that we did. So I ordered up a brand new set of V-Force reeds, the genuine ones, because they do make knockoff ones. I was really close to getting the $20 ones, but I got the genuine ones, which are literally more than 5 times more expensive, but there's a reason for that. So they should be here in a couple days and we'll put this thing back together. Oh baby, 2 days later and we've got our brand new V-Force reeds. These are genuine V-Force. If you guys aren't familiar, there are knockoffs of these that look identical down to the box, and they even include stickers. Actually, in retrospect, I'm thinking about it, they're only $20 for this kit. I should have bought one just to do a side-by-side comparison. This is the genuine kit. Now, from what I understand, if it is a knockoff kit, one of the dead giveaways is there'll be a sticker on the outside that says Made in China. So this is a real one from Moto Tassinari. You could never really tell the difference, I don't think, unless you're like an aficionado. The knockoff ones, man, I'm telling you, they look so similar in the pictures. I wouldn't be surprised if I've had one before and I thought it was a real one. The difference in price is so tempting, but you do get what you pay for. I think, now this is not coming from experience because I don't know that I've run one of the knockoff ones, but I think it's kind of like based on the reviews and from forums, it's like the knockoff carburetors. It's hit or miss. Some people said they run really good, and it's like, do people really know? Sometimes people put on a performance device, especially reeds, because reeds can be one of those things that's like a very marginal change depending on your modifications and whatnot. And somebody might put one of these on there and they're like, dude, it worked great and it feels awesome. But did it? Like, are these people actually putting it on a dyno? Can they actually see the performance? So I don't know. Like, the people buying the knockoff ones, are they really making a difference? Are they really working? I don't know. But people were, I did go to the Moto Tassinari website, and they have an article on there talking about the knockoff ones. And apparently the knockoff ones use a different composite for the reed cages, and they splinter and they also warp. I don't know if they do it right off the bat, but they're more prone to failure. Also, the reed pedals are known to flake quicker than the genuine ones, and they're not the correct thickness. So the whole thing with reeds is you've got these pedals in here. You can see them. They're carbon fiber, and as the air is coming through the engine and it creates suction, can I get my finger in here and lift this up? They actually lift up with the suction of the engine, and they let your fuel air mixture into the combustion chamber. So if these are a different thickness or they're more stiff than these, the Moto Tassinari ones, the name brand ones, they're not gonna let the right amount of fuel and air in. So they might work, but they're not gonna work as good as the genuine ones. So if I was gonna hang on to the blaster, I might have tried the knockoff reed cage, but since a big part of the reason we're doing this project is because we don't wanna be selling it to the new owner with these junky Chinese parts, it would be like counterintuitive to put Chinese reeds on it. So this will be what we need. We're gonna go with the original setup with the OEM carb. This is actually the carb from the OG Banshee. Same carburetor. The left side carb on a Banshee is the same as the blaster carburetor. I was like looking on forums and stuff, and I'm like, man, am I really shooting myself in the foot by keeping the OEM carburetor? Because a lot of people, they recommend upping the size of the carb when you do these modifications. And I'm looking at forums and stuff, and you guys know with forums, the information, you just don't know, man. There's people on there that know what they're talking about, and there's people that have no idea, but they talk like they know. So it's, to be honest with you, man, forums are a shit show. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, dude, why would I not call Ken from Ken O'Connor Racing where the performance mods came from? So I called up Ken, and I had this inkling that we would get plenty of gains with the stock carburetor, and he confirmed that if we run this stock 26 millimeter carb, we're gonna get plenty of gains with this thing. Could we upgrade it? Absolutely, but for the next owner, that's something that they can do. For now, let's get this stuff installed, man. I can't wait to see how this thing runs. Alrighty, man, it's time to get some helmet hair. I love this Yamaha blaster. It's so easy to work on. Went back together super easily, and that's awesome. So let's go ahead and give her a kick. I turned the fuel on. We'll do no choke for now. Oh man, you can feel a lot more compression than it used to have. It really didn't have that much compression before. You know, it's like a small bore 2-stroke engine. We'll see if she'll start. Oh, third kick, baby. I wonder if it's gonna have like a different tone. Sounds good, dude. Sounds real good. So I'll let this go for, I'll do a couple heat cycles on it. And you know what the hell, man? Let's just see. We'll take her down the street. Not gonna get on it. This is literally the first start. Idling, very, very nice. Whoa, dude! Now I just rode this thing the way that it was, so I have a good contrast of how it feels, you know, pre and post modifications. Wow. It was really gutless before on the down low. I can't wait, dude. We're gonna take it out to the sand pit, the little test area, and we'll do the same loop that we did when it was stock. And I bet you this thing is gonna freaking rip, dude. It was really fun when it was stock, and it's gonna be super, super fun. Dude, it's way more responsive. Wow, dude. I can't wait to get some heat cycles on this and actually push it. Because I bet you the top end is the same way. Oh, man. Yeah, dude. You can definitely feel a difference. That is amazing, dude. After talking to Ken on the phone, it sounds like we will legitimately, from what we added on here, the V-Force reeds, the high compression head, and the porting, we should legitimately see between 5 and 10 horsepower gain on this thing, which is insane because the blaster only has like 15 horsepower to begin with. So that's a major increase of horsepower, dude. It sounds really, really good, man. So I'm gonna let this idle and I'll see you guys at the track.
right, guys, I lied. We're going to a different trail, so it's a semi-lie. It's very similar, but it's a different pit. Right now, I'm just letting this machine warm up, and we'll see if we can find the pit, because I'm not as familiar with this place, but it's a really sweet spot, and I think we'll be able to get some good shots there and really put this blaster to the test, dude. I'll tell you what, dude, just a little ride here. It's a major difference. But I'll tell you what, dude, the suspension has not changed. This has got all stock suspension. Not exactly the most graceful, especially because this is essentially a kid's quad. But at least everything's nice and tight. That's what it used to not be able to do, is the down low torque. That's awesome. The front end wants to come up really, really easily, even when you're not way up in the power band. All right, I think we're at the pit now. Yeah, this is it. This place is so whoopy. But we've got more than enough playground here. Oh man. Oh dude, what a blast. I don't know if you guys can see the whoops, but you can probably hear it. Oh man, I can only take so much punishment from those bumps, but it can do it. I'm actually pretty surprised. It doesn't even really feel like it's bottoming out when I hit those. It's just like, for reference, I'm about 5'10", 200 pounds, 205. So this is like a kid's quad. It's really made for somebody that's like, probably I'd say 100 to 150 pounds. You can see that torque though, dude. Oh, dude, really, really fun quad. Oh, shit. Would never have expected this from a Yamaha blaster, dude. Awesome. I gotta say, I think that they were some good mods. What do you guys think, man? Let me know in the comment section below. Not the most impressive top end. I definitely think it's better than it was originally, but I think that's where the carb comes into play. If we had upsized the carburetor, or if somebody wants to do that in the future, I think it'll get a lot more top end. But the way it is now, man, great, great, great trail machine.
I thought I told you not to use so many DEI hires. You made it too obvious. I gotta go. You want horsepower and you want accuracy. Well, here at the Ask Dyno, we can give you that. Now, last time we did this KTM, the results were what? Oh, we're not doing the KTM yet. Oh, okay. The first time we tested this Yamaha blaster for power, the results were less than stellar. But this time around, our certified Ask Dyno technician came back with results that are gonna blow your balls off. Let's have a look. Now, this is our original Ask Dyno, and to be honest, it's not even close to accurate. Even the RPMs are wrong. The guy that did this just, we fired him. So we remade the original dyno right here with a more accurate version, if you will. So as you can see, the power would come on around 2,000 RPMs, and it was much less than stellar down low. Sort of had the light switch effect. It would climb, and around 7,000 to 9,000 RPMs, right around there was the power band, which was pretty narrow. It probably wasn't even that wide, but it actually had pretty good power. I would guess just below 20 horsepower. And it was super fun to ride as long as you knew how to feather the clutch and keep it in the power band. Now, the main difference that we noticed after the mods were on there are that the power comes on much, much sooner. And I would say something like this. I don't actually think there's too much more horsepower, probably because of that whole carburetor deal that we got going on. I would guess it probably has around 23 to 25 horsepower, and it kind of signs off just like it did before, but just a little bit higher. So overall, just a larger increase in the power band, but most notably, that low down torque made all the difference with these modifications. None of which will matter if you're an adult or a reasonably sized child, because this quad is so small that you're gonna be bumping your knees on the handlebars and front fenders so much that you won't even wanna ride anymore. But if you're a child that's smaller than 5'5", then yes, these mods are worth the price. And that is your official Ask Dyno.
Have the most perfect straightaway here, but we can definitely do a launch here. Let's see what this thing can do. Now, if I can remember correctly, we were unable to have enough power to do a second gear launch the way that it was before. Second gear? Might have to do first gear. I just gotta watch my back here. There's some other people riding out here, and I wanna make sure they don't come flying through here and take me out. All right, we should be in second now. Let's just go straight for the throat and see if it'll do a second gear launch. I think we got it, man. Man, this thing's awesome. Woo, water alert. Dude, this thing is sick. All right, man, I think without a doubt, we've got a sizable amount of performance gain. All right, let's give her another go, man. Second gear. It ain't like it's a speed demon, but I'll tell you what, it sure is fast enough to have fun with. Goddamn. Woo! be careful, dude. This thing is really narrow. If you don't put a lot of body language. Into your turns, dude. You're going over. Awesome machine, man. Oh, we lost our little fuel breather. This thing definitely would have swept the floor in top quad with these mods. I think if I remember correctly, it got second when it was completely stock. Whew, but the 300EX was a little bit faster, and the Lakota was just the all-around animal. Oh man. All right, my buddy Matt is working his ass off trying to fix an ATC 350X. He said he has no time to go riding, so let's see if we can go steal him from the garage for a minute and brighten his day. Get him on the crispy chicken sandwich, dude, because that is just a straight up day brightener. Anything two-stroke is a day brightener. All right, Matt, saddle up, dude. You can't say no. We got him, man. We got him to he's gonna do some riding. So this is one of Matt's quads, or it's a friend of his. I'm not sure. It's a 426. I'm just using it to follow him out here. The back shock is completely blown on this. Like the most blown I've ever felt. Oh my God. You cannot ride whoops with this. Dude, you can wring that thing out.
Bro, this thing feels very good.
Yeah?
Very good.
You didn't even ride it.
If somebody don't buy this thing, man, you guys are beat. I'm buying it.
What'd you say, man? Porting and high compression head worth it?
I would definitely say so. I haven't rode it before, but I've rode stock blasters before when I was younger, which means they were still fairly new. But they're like, I think best bang for your buck, best parts availability out there. The blaster is definitely a way to go, especially if you're smaller or a female. Shit, even if you're our size,
You still have fun.
really can't go wrong.
Well, guys, I got to give it the old Bull Taco thumbs up, man. The mods that we did to this thing, I would definitely say are worth it. Now, there's one thing I wanted to add here is that I already had the FMF exhaust on here. Anytime you're doing intake mods, you want to make sure your exhaust mods match, or you're just not going to get the same effect. I guarantee if you ported it and everything and you did this, you had the stock exhaust on there, you'll probably feel a little bit, but it definitely won't be as drastic. So just keep that in mind. But most people have an exhaust on their blaster to begin with. I want to give a huge shout out to Ken O'Connor Racing. That's where I bought the Sport Port templates, and Ken sent me that head. I didn't even ask for that. He followed the YouTube channel, and it just came with my shipment of the templates and stuff, which is super awesome. I ended up calling Ken, and he's a super awesome dude. And we were on the phone. He's like, dude, we should do a giveaway. So if anybody has a blaster, we're going to be giving away a shaved head for the Yamaha blaster. So just doing the shaved head alone is going to be a big difference. To enter to win is going to be super easy. All you have to do is like this video and leave a comment below that has blaster head somewhere in your comment. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram at MichaelSabo350 and follow the Ken O'Connor Racing page on Instagram, and you're automatically entered to win. In a week from now, I'll pick one random comment, and that person will receive a brand new shaved blaster head. And last but not least, guys, regrettably, I will be selling the original crispy chicken sandwich. I really wish that I could keep all these machines, but one of the big reasons that I did this in the first place was because I wanted to make it nice and solid for the next owner. So the price is going to be $6,000, and I do understand for a Yamaha blaster, that's pretty damn steep. But just like with all my builds, you have to consider that there's an entire video series that comes with this where you can literally watch this machine being built step by step. There's also an engine tutorial where you can watch the engine being built step by step, and it's like a service manual if you ever need to do any work to this engine in the future. Not to mention it's a nearly fresh restoration, and it's an awesome talking piece. And as long as location isn't an issue, I'm happy to spend a day riding with the new owner. We can take this thing out and make sure that it's rock solid and good to go. All that stuff may be absolutely worthless to you, but I know for a lot of people that adds a lot of value. This is a super unique machine. If you are interested, please shoot me an email at michaelsabo350@gmail.com. That will also be in the description below. And with that, the Blaster series is over. If you guys enjoyed this video in any way, shape, or form, please give the video a thumbs up. That helps me out tremendously. And also consider subscribing for more content like this. Don't forget to check out the second channel, Michael Sabo Extra. And until the next one, guys, peace out.